This quarter, we're turning our focus to plastics, and I'm joined by Ray Chang, an analyst in our Australian Equities team. Plastics have had a remarkable impact on our lives and economy over the last 60 years, dramatically improving the way that we store and transport food, improving the safety and quality of medical supplies, and positively impacting the way that we design and manufacture electronic goods, for example. However, there's been a lot of recent commentary around the negative impact of plastics on our natural environment, and also some health concerns from the presence of microplastics in waterways and food, for example. Ray, how do companies respond to this change in consumer sentiment, and do you see any risk to plastics and packaging companies from these changes?
Consumer sentiment will definitely have an impact on plastic packaging companies, but the impact should be manageable. The focus is currently on eliminating unnecessary plastics, such as in cosmetics, in drinking straws and in shopping bags. There are many benefits of plastics, such as the ability to control gas permeability, water resistance, it's lightweight, it's durable, it can extend product life, and you can pretty much mould it into whatever shape you'd like. We also need to acknowledge consumers are quite focused on climate change at the moment, and plastics relative to other packaging alternatives such as metals and glass can be quite effective. There are some studies that show the total environmental cost of plastics can be as little as 1/4 that of the alternatives.
As you can see from this chart, the World Bank forecasts that total waste will grow by 70% by the year 2050, and it's prompted a global legislative response. In Australia, 3 states have already introduced legislation to ban or phase out single-use plastics, following similar moves in the UK, Europe, Canada and the US. Even China, a country that has for decades imported others' waste at a rate of about 45% increase year on year, has now introduced plans to phase out all single-use plastics by 2025. Ray, how do companies respond to these legislative changes?
Media attention on this area shows that less than 10% of plastic waste globally is currently reused or recycled. Most of it goes into landfills or dumps. This is not good enough and needs to and will improve. Many of the world's largest companies are trying to improve this and have joined the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. The Foundation's initiative on the new plastics economy focuses on 3 key areas to try and promote a circular economy for plastics. The first is an effective after-use of plastics, which is improving the use of recycled plastics and the collection of plastics. The second is on reducing leakages, so keeping plastics out of the oceans. And the third is on decoupling from fossil fuels, so reducing the need of crude oil to create plastics.
It's clearly not an easy problem to solve. How do companies respond to some of the challenges as they continue to evolve their response?
The key challenge around recycled plastics is around cost and availability. For it to be economic, it needs to sell above a certain price. And historically, manufacturers could only justify recycled plastics when the crude oil price was very high. Consumer goods companies are trying to change this dynamic by creating a steady demand for recycled plastics. Companies such as Coca-Cola are creating 100% recycled PET bottles, and Nestlé are using recycled plastics for Kit Kat wrappers. Companies actively market the recycled content of these products as they see it as a key product feature that customers demand, and they see it as being good for business. The next hardest part is around collecting and sorting plastics for recycling. Packaging companies play an active role in this by designing products that are simpler to recycle. For example, Amcor has been actively trying to reduce the number and types of plastics in their flexible food pouches. This sounds easy, but is actually quite difficult to do without reducing product benefits. Finally, governments and waste collection companies also have a big role to play in collection and sortation. There needs to be a shift in mindset to view plastics not as a waste, but as a resource.
So Ray, it sounds like the challenges are really hard. Where do you see future growth coming from for plastics and packaging companies, and how do you pick the winners and losers in this space?
Companies who have the will and desire to adapt and evolve will be the winners. The key will be to improve plastic recyclability whilst sacrificing as few of the product benefits as possible, such as product life extension and product protection. Companies need to spend money on effective research and development and redesign their products. Companies that fail to do this will be faced with declining volumes and declining returns. Success will come through forward-thinking consumer goods companies partnering with forward-thinking packaging companies.
Thanks, Ray. You've really highlighted that there's an ever-evolving consumer, legislative and even manufacturing response to some of these challenges. It's a really fascinating area and one that we'll follow closely.
Thank you.